Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you might be joining us from in the world today. My name is Meg Alexander, and I am, as always, eager, excited, and honored to get to host another fabulous Power to Fly chat and learn virtual event. Now, just a quick visual descriptor in case anybody else would like that. I am a 37-year-old white woman. I have pink and purple hair up in a messy bun, blue glasses, and a multicolored plaid shirt on. And I am very, very, very excited to get started, y'all. All right. As we go forward in today's event, I just want to say hello and welcome to everyone. Now, if this is your first event with Power to Fly, hi, we're so happy to meet you. Now, the love is no less real for my frequent flyers. I love seeing all of your familiar names and faces and avatars in the chat. So thank you all so, so much for joining us today. Now, really eager to dive in on today's discussion and get us started. But before we do so, we're going to go over some quick housekeeping items. This will be especially important if this is your first Power to Fly event. But either way, hang tight with me. My jabbering on does not last that long, I promise. So the big thing to know about today's event, and like all of our virtual events, is that participation is key. All right, we want to be here for y'all. You took the time out of your day to be here with us. No worries if you're watching this in the future. Hi from the past. But we want to make sure that you are able to participate as much as you would like today. So you are welcome to do that in a couple different ways. If you'd want to, please feel free to turn your cameras on. I love seeing everyone's smiling, maskless faces out there safely, and just would love to see y'all out there. However, no need to be Instagram perfect, okay? We're on day, oh man, 5. I think I've lost count of the dry shampoo messy bun combo we got going. Truly, y'all, we don't care if you are coming to us from a corner office or your living room couch. You can be in a 3-piece suit or your bathrobe. We don't care. We just want to meet you where you are. Now, if you don't want to participate with your camera, that's fine. It is not a requirement at all. You are always welcome to chime in the chat. We would love to hear from you in that space. I do want to encourage y'all to let us know where you're joining us from today. I'm coming to you from Toledo, Ohio. This is land that belonged to the Fox, Kickapoo, and Potawatomi tribes in my area. Now, if you would like to share with us, let us know where you're joining us from. And if you know, you're welcome to share whose land you're on. Now, we are recording today, and what that means for all of you is you don't have to take notes. You get to sit back, relax, enjoy the conversation that I'm about to have with Elizabeth and Mekashia, and really dig in, all right? Now, let's say somebody says something just mind-blowing, paradigm shifting, world like changing, and you cannot wait, and you want to share this with a friend or a coworker or a relative. You can. So the recording serves as a nice because you don't have to take notes. You don't have to worry about if you miss a reference or a resource that someone lists. But if you want to rewatch this or share it around, we would love to have that happen. So in about 4 to 5 business days, everybody that registered for today's session, whether or not you were attending, whether or not you were even showed up for a little bit, doesn't matter. Everybody's going to get an email from us that'll have a link to where you can rewatch the recording on powertofly.com. Now, if you don't want to wait that long, you don't have to. We are live streaming to YouTube right now. Hi, YouTube. And the video is usually posted by the end of the day on our YouTube channel. Now, our YouTube channel will have it faster, and there is a small archive there of some of our kind of greatest hits of chats. But truly, y'all, I really recommend you check us out on the website because there is so much. I mean, like the Ark of the Covenant levels of like tons and tons and tons of resources are there. God, I'm really dating myself with that reference. But they're all there. It's all free resources and stuff that we want to put in your hands. Okay, truly, we really want you to take advantage of all of these opportunities to level up yourself. Now, if you do want to participate in the chat today, I absolutely encourage it. We really want to hear from you. I see we've got people chiming in from Baltimore, Maryland, Bay Area, California, which is on Ohlone land. We've got Bangladesh represented, more people in Ohio as well, Chicago, Ontario, California, North Carolina. Y'all, I love seeing all of these places. Thank you so much for chiming in. Now, as we are navigating that chat, we would love, love, love to see y'all chiming in here. So if you have questions, we want to see them. What we've done is we've gathered all the questions. Actually, we'll talk about that in a minute. But big thing to know, as we are navigating each other in the chat, as always, we encourage y'all to lead from a place of kindness and respect. Now, if you want any details on that, here's our code of conduct. You can screenshot that if you want. But basically, don't be a crumb, okay? Just be nice. It's not that hard, I promise. Just listen to me for a little bit. You'll be happy. It's okay. So just as we go, make sure that we are adhering to that, and we will all have a fabulous time as always. All right, now I'm very excited to remind y'all that we are here, our guests are here today on behalf of AbbVie. Now, AbbVie is a great PowerToFly partner. We have worked with them for, oh man, it's been a little while now, come to think of it. But really, in case you aren't aware who AbbVie is, they are a global Fortune 500 company, and they have global Fortune 500 biopharmaceutical company, and they create life-changing medicines and first-in-kind solutions that help to make a real difference in people's lives. Now, there are 50,000 plus employees spread across geographies, disciplines, and therapeutic areas. They put impact at the core of every decision. And with over $50 billion invested in R&D since their founding in 2013, AbbVie is always focused on helping people and communities thrive for generations to come. Now, I'm very, very excited to introduce you to their speakers today. But the last thing before I do is I want to clue you in on a little bit of some of the stuff you can utilize on their company page. So that's what you're seeing in front of you. I know we've got my girl Ria throwing links in the chat as well. Thank you, Ria. So if you want to check out their company page, it looks like what you're seeing here. A couple big things, but the one thing I want to call out to be sure is this follow button right here. Okay. So if anything that we say today really piques your interest and you're interested in AbbVie, I recommend you check out the company page, but the follow button can serve you in some specific ways. If you are actively job seeking, but don't see anything right now for AbbVie that you want to apply for, tap that follow button, okay? What it does is effectively it works like having a friend who already works at AbbVie. So tapping that button is going to allow PowerToFly to tell AbbVie that you are interested in working with them even before you fill out an application. So it's a great way to make sure that you stay on their radar, and it makes sure that you are in that follow network, which absolutely does not hurt, y'all. It is an extra like boost to your profile. It does not hurt to do. So the other thing is PowerToFly takes the weight off of you in your job search because we are going to tell you when AbbVie posts new roles. So that way you don't have to keep coming back, checking and rechecking job boards, basically memorizing them, and then you slide for 2 days and all of a sudden there's all these jobs and oh my gosh, when did these get posted? So let us kind of take that weight off of you and tap that follow button. You can follow and unfollow as many companies as you'd like on powertofly.com as many times as you'd like. But I think by the time we're done talking today, you'll understand why I think you should take a closer look at AbbVie. So now to the absolute honored guests, I'm really excited to introduce you to our first speaker. Now, Elizabeth Fabian is the Director for the Manufacturing Program Management at AbbVie. Now, Elizabeth has over 23 years of pharmaceutical operations experience. Now, she's originally from Mexico and moved to the US to start a career in the company's operations development program. Now, from there, she moved her way up the company, holding roles in planning, operation excellence, network optimization, network strategy, manufacturing, including site director. Okay, that's not an office job, y'all. That means a girl was on the floor, okay? And program management. Now, Elizabeth is very passionate about the work that AbbVie does and the impact it has on its over 50 million patients served, and has also driven the company's EEDI efforts within the Hispanic Latino ERG and leading initiatives in the Operations EEDI Council. Elizabeth, welcome to the stage. We're so happy to have you. Is there anything else you would like our audience to know about you today?
Hi, Megan, everyone. Thank you for having me. Very, very excited to share here the experience. You know, when you hear the 23 years out there, it just really sounds like a long time, which it has been. But, you know, in parallel to work, obviously, I have my personal life. And just to share a little bit of, I'm based here in the Chicago area. We have a lot of offices over here in manufacturing buildings. So this is where I am. But happily married for 10 years last November. And I love gardening. I love bird watching. I love puzzles. I love walking and hiking. So gone to a lot of the national parks around US and just overall excited to be here.
I love that. Are you doing the passport thing for the
You know,
national
I need
park?
to do that because I've gone to several already and I have not started my passport. So I feel like I've lost that opportunity. I have to go back to them again.
It's so fun. And I'm telling you, like, yeah, you do your silly health walk, you get the dopamine. Don't get me wrong, obviously much needed. However, it kind of satiates this very weird, like 90s sticker girl, like vibe within me where I'm like, okay, but we have to get more stickers. So we have to go on more walks and we have to go. And oh my gosh, it's going to be so fun. Look, they have the stamps. Oh, that one's different. It's ridiculous, y'all. So find the joy where you can, but if you are at all interested in national parks, definitely check that out. Definitely.
Will do.
All right. Now joining Elizabeth on the stage today, we have the incomparable Mekashia Chanal. Now, Mekashia is the Oncology Brand Management Lead for AbbVie, and as a dynamic healthcare leader with over 20 years of experience across global marketing, portfolio management, and supply chain. Now, in her current role at AbbVie, she serves with the oncology portfolio, driving the brand strategy and partners across multiple cross-functional teams to support new product launches, lifecycle management, and continuous improvement opportunities for on-market brands. Now, she joined AbbVie in 2022, but prior to that, she served as a social impact leader, driving innovations in healthcare to enhance patients' lives with roles at Hillrom and Abbott. Now, Mekashia received her Bachelor of Science Chemical Engineering degree from the University of Notre Dame in South Bend. As a long-suffering Irish fan, I'm in awe. Thank you for joining us, and we're in awe of your presence. She also has a master's in business administration from Lake Forest Graduate School of Management. Mekashia resides in Homer Glen, Illinois, a southwestern suburb of Chicago, with her husband and 2 children. Mekashia, we're so happy to have you join us today. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Megan. Obviously, I have to lead with the Go Irish. But with that, everyone, delighted to be here this afternoon to engage with you and excited about our upcoming conversations. So to build upon what Meg said, I am currently based in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, but I work with Elizabeth, which is in the opposite direction in the northern suburbs of Chicago. So it's quite an adventure, but I enjoy it. I actually, as is noted there, been back now with AbbVie. I like to call it a bit of a boomerang. So I've been now back almost 2 years. And again, previously worked with Abbott. So over 20 years overall in healthcare. So that's truly my passion, and just excited to share more with all of you as we're continuing the conversation. And then as I think about what do I enjoy? So in addition to having 2 amazing little people that I do enjoy talking about because it brings my full self to work, the way I just kind of keep my energy high is I lean towards my tea. So any other tea fans out there, I am all tea. And my favorite is a good old chai tea with a little almond milk and a few extra puffs of chai from Starbucks. So happy to, continue the conversations and maybe grab a tea along the way as well. So thanks, everybody. Excited to be here today.
Yes. Oh, you've caught me on the very rare January day where I don't have a cup of tea, although this was my cup today because, I'm an adult. I'm in cold drink, goblin mode, but chai tea, I don't know if you've ever had it. Have you ever had a dirty chai? It's like got a shot of espresso in it.
I don't do the coffee, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not on the hard drugs, but like that has to be what that feeling is like. I'm telling you, it's like rocket fuel. I'm like, oh, I have hope for like 3 full minutes. It's great. It's wonderful. Love it. All right. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. Now we're going to dive into some questions. Let me get my camera angles all set up and stuff for you. But as we go, we're going to dive into some questions today. Now, these are all questions that y'all submitted at the time of registration. Now, if you were able to, if you asked a question, that's awesome. We went through those and tried to, pull some of the best ones, make sure that we kind of covered everyone's bases here. Let's see, they're at my spotlight. So we're going to dive into questions now. Again, like I said earlier, if y'all took the time out of your day to be here with us live, we want to reward you for that. So if you have questions, if you want us to dive in deeper on a subject, terminology, whatever it is, let us know. Chime in the chat. I'll have eyes in the comment section this whole time. So I'm happy to help y'all out there. But just let us know if you've got questions. If we're asking one of your questions and maybe we're like not coming at it from the right angle, maybe there's details or context we should know, send it in the chat. If you didn't get a chance to ask a question, but you want to ask one now, send it in the chat. Ask early, ask often. I want to make sure that I bring value for y'all today, that it's worth the time that you spend with us. And I can do that as long as you tell me what you want to know. Now, if you have any questions that you want to ask, but you want kept anonymous, not a problem. Just DM them to me. You can find my name, Meg Alexander, on the drop down there. Absolutely happy to help you. All right. So to get us started today, we've got kind of a breadth of things to talk about. Let's start under kind of the heading of career exploration. This person wrote in and they said, as a professional exploring the next step in my career, how can I strategically network to expand my knowledge on opportunities and career paths? I liked that this question was kind of strategically, oh God, I sound like George Bush, strategically based, because like a lot of us don't have, hours and hours and hours of time when it comes to thinking about like, well, where am I going to take my career? What am I going to do? And, it's just not something that a lot of people sit down to do like that. So, if you are trying to do this and you're on a time crunch, what do you recommend people do, especially with a task that can seem really overwhelming to start? Let's see, Elizabeth, do you want to start us?
I mean, I think, and depending on where you're working, right? Sometimes, like ourselves, we're in big company, and what I have found is that you don't always know what's out there, right? So you maybe know the work that's around you, and maybe you're interested in different positions around you, but maybe there'll be some fantastic opportunity that's somewhere else, and you have no clue that it was there. So in our company, we have, for example, Operations 101 sessions where you can attend and you learn about all the different functions. If your company has that, definitely make sure that you're calling into those types of sessions where they walk through, hey, this is what we do in purchasing, this is what we do in manufacturing. And that gives you a better idea of even who to talk to and such. If you don't have something like that, a lot of companies do have ERGs. ERGs, the employee resource groups, are great ways to connect with people in other areas, right? In operations most of my life here, and there's salespeople there, there's finance people there, R&D people, research and development folks, and those are great tools, great places. They organize events, right? You can meet people, you can interact, and you can set up time. What I like to do is, let's just say I met someone from purchasing and I really want to know something more about it. I ask them to walk me through their org chart of what the purchasing organization is. Can you walk me through what do people do within here? What are their roles? And just pop out that org chart and let's just talk about it. So those are some of the things that I would recommend.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I like the idea of the org chart too, because I feel like that's something that like when I was onboarded to PowerToFly, we did that. It was something you had to kind of like walk through. I've never worked in another company that did that. And it gave me not only a much better understanding like of the company as a whole, like globally kind of what we do, but also and like the way the different parts interact. But it also made it like not nearly as like scary to be like, okay, I need to know something, or like I'm curious, but like I don't know really how to find this person. Is it creepy that I want to add you on LinkedIn? I've never even been in a meeting with you. Like you're amazing. I've seen you like so really like it very much goes a long way in a manner that kind of seems disproportionate to like the effort it takes to do it. It's really personally I thought it was a great payoff. Mekashia, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, so maybe I'll pick up on a point that Elizabeth started with, which is engaging in the ERGs. I'll admit over my 20 years across the 3 different companies, I've been fortunate at all of them to raise my hand, for those opportunities to get involved and get engaged, because to her point, that is an amazing network in a community where you have people in multiple different functions at different leadership levels even. It's an opportunity firsthand, to begin to build those connections. And even though it may not seem strategic because the pool may be large, it is strategic because it's a great opportunity too, where then as you raise your hand and get involved, you can start to show the capabilities that you're bringing, and that can even build upon newer connections. I think another point, and I know this one may be, it may not fit just quite right, but depending upon the company, at AbbVie, we have a phenomenal development opportunities where we have a website where you can look at open opportunities. And if it notes the hiring manager, I found that it's very advantageous at times to reach out, do a little cold calling, inquire, ask for informational, set up time and have that conversation. And in each of those very strategic moments, I always close out those conversations with, oh, this has been phenomenal. Are there maybe 3 other people that you think it would be great for me to connect with? So you're continuing to build and identify great connections so that then you can have even more strategic conversations. So I'll pause there. I'm sure we're going to get more questions on that. But as you can see, I'm definitely passionate about that topic. So I'll pause there.
All right. Well, nobody ever believes me. They always think it's lip service when I say this, but I learn something new on every single one of these chats. It does not matter how often I am on, like it doesn't matter how often we talk about similar subjects. truly, I learn something new every single time. That, like, ask them if what for three other people, y'all, that's a hot tip. Okay. Seriously, I'm not above the stupid props and stuff to keep y'all entertained. That is slick and smart and a very easy way to say, hey, you're at the end of your knowledge or what I know to ask you about. Who else can I talk to? Genius. Genius, Mekashia. Thank you. Loving this. The other thing I do want to highlight that you had talked about is like when it comes to networking stuff like this and really trying to like make those connections and make them how do I put this? Make the connections, but also maintain them. Like keep them warm connections without driving yourself crazy, right? When you're going and doing this, like it doesn't have to be forced, right? Like you don't have to go through and take a look at the org chart and form your master plan of who you're going to talk to when. And no, I have to meet this person before that person. And I have to make sure that I manipulate this person into introducing me to that one because that'll be perfect. And like, no, it doesn't have to be that weird and scary. Like follow your curiosity. Hey, we do such and such at this company. That's how I got this role, y'all. I started in the talent division. Like I was the person that would look up people to apply for roles or invite people to our events. And like by saying like, hey, how do we do like the chat and learn stuff? How does like our social media stuff work? This is how I was able to like move on into different teams. So I can tell you from personal experience, absolutely works, but like don't feel like it has to be forced and you have to go talk to these people that are like scary and you don't know what to talk to them about. Follow your curiosity, and then as the connections become more organic, they can introduce you to the other people who know more about your tech stuff or whatever. All right, let's keep moving with our questions here. All right, this person wanted to know if you've ever had to decline new opportunities, and if so, how did you navigate that decision? I love this question because saying no is difficult for me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Mekashia, how would you respond to this?
I love that question because I'll admit, definitely been there. I think the way I've handled is always focusing on interest as well as value. Okay. So obviously you want to focus on opportunities where your interests align, but then also thinking about, okay, well, what is the value back to the organization? So I think it's a delicate balance, if I use that stretchable word, of how to, provide that feedback. But it is important to really center in and say, okay, what are my interests? Where am I interested in learning? What are, you want to say, those leverageable or transferable capabilities that I'm bringing? But then more importantly, really focus on what is the value back to the business. So those are my initial thoughts, but I'll pause there and see if maybe Elizabeth has anything further to add.
Yeah, definitely. And to Mekashia's point, I've had to decline roles as well. And I think one of the things that I looked at balancing, in one case, it involved relocation. And for me, right at that time, it was not going to work for me. But I know my boss at the time was like, I really want you to go take this role in another country. And I just sat down and I just walked through and like, I value this. This is everything that I've done in my career. This is everything that I want to accomplish. That position definitely would contribute to my development. It would actually was a great match for me. But right now at this time is not the right time for me. So can you give me, just for personal reasons, I need a couple years or something. After that, maybe I can relocate. So I think sometimes finding the compromise in it can also be an option, right? Of saying, it's not a flat no, but maybe it's a no right now, or maybe it's a no under certain circumstances. But if I can do something else, in exchange, maybe that would work. And the other thing that's really helpful, if it is something that maybe is not aligned to Mekashia, right, what you're saying around your development opportunities, it always helps if you have a development plan, a career plan for yourself already laid out that you can use as a tool to say, you know what? This is what I'm aspiring to, and these are the steps that I'm trying to take for it. This is not really building my blocks to where I'm trying to get to. And that also is a good way of saying, I understand you think maybe from your perspective, but from what I want to grow, what I want to learn, how I want to get to my destination, that's not the building block that I need. I would like to pursue X.
No, I mean, I think this is all absolutely wonderful. And it kind of goes back to when we talk about like work-life balance and stuff and maintaining boundaries, like it is one of those things where like you have to kind of be able to navigate for yourself. Like, is what you're going to be potentially taking on worth it? And I love, Elizabeth, how you talked about like the reasoning why you didn't really want to pursue it. Because granted, like, you know, personally, I have to verbally like process, right? So for me, a lot of stuff is walking back, like, okay, they don't need that information. You think that everyone needs the context because you're bonkers, but like, you know, so for me, there is that option of, you know, okay, you don't want to like dump your purse out on the table quite too much, but sharing why you're concerned about, you know, about taking the new role. Like, I'm worried that it'll take me you know, kind of away from my normal schedule at work, or my interest lies over here, or maybe you're just kind of taking time this year to focus on your own mess going on, like some of us did the last couple of years. And so maybe you just don't really want new challenges at work this second, but you would be open to it. You know, can we circle back in a couple months? So I really like that. And
The
Mekashia,
only thing,
oh, go ahead,
sorry,
please.
Meg, that I would say is that you should be open to understanding why they think you can do the job or why they want you to do the role. Because what has happened to me is that, and like, I don't know, that's kind of a stretch role, or that's kind of outside my area of comfort, or that I don't know that I can do it. But the folks above you have seen you in different situations. They've seen you how you work through challenges, how you're developing, and they have a good sense of whether they're setting you up for failure or really they're setting you up for a challenge that sure will be a little tough, but you're going to do it. They're not going to give you opportunities that think you're going to fail at. So if your nervousness and saying no is more related to that, I would say maybe rethink about it, right? And say, don't say no because you're nervous, because you don't think you're going to be able to do it. If they're telling you that opportunity, if they're giving you that, and it's going to be a big contributor, just, you know, maybe give it a second thought and maybe take it.
Yeah. Well, and it also kind of comes from that attitude of, and apologies, y'all is getting real woo-woo into like therapy land, but like that it's kind of making that decision from a place of abundance as opposed to a place of scarcity, right?
Right.
It's like it's not just saying like, 'cause there's a ton of stuff that like I have absolutely been like, yeah, I would love to do that. Yes, I'll take on that extra duty because like, you know, people need the hand, or you know, you want to feel useful and stuff. Or that sounds great. Yes, I want to be involved, but very much absent the like, wait a second, do I actually have the bandwidth? Can I devote the kind of time and like focus that I'm going to want to this project? Or is this going to be like number 7 on a top 5 list of things that I probably will get done in a day? You know, I very much think it's a good idea to evaluate it. But yeah, like ask them why they think you can do it. Like, because you might be in for quite a you know, maybe a refresher on why they think you're so amazing, or
Yeah.
why they think you can do this. Like, never hurts to ask.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's keep going in here. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Elizabeth, what your experience has been like. You talked about moving between countries to pursue your career. Could you tell us a little bit about what it was like for you to navigate cultural differences in the workplace as an immigrant?
Yeah, definitely. I would tell you that it was a shock. Now, I had been to the US many times before, but it's obviously never the same when you are traveling on vacation than when you're actually going to work. And I initially, now this was, 23, 24 years ago, right? But coming from Mexico, for any of you that maybe are Hispanic or have worked with Hispanics, when I would start my day in Mexico in an office, it would take me 30 minutes to get to my desk, because I would stop by every single one. Here's your kids, right? Hello, how are you? How's the family? What did you do on the weekend and all that? Then I come here and it just felt very cold. You come to your office and, get to work, right? Basically. And initially, to be honest, I took it a little negatively. I'm like, I just don't, I took it negatively because it was different. And I think what I've learned over the years, and especially now as I've interacted a lot more with so many countries, so many cultures, I mean, AbbVie is so diverse, just even the US, let alone all the countries we work with, is around. Different isn't always bad, right? You can always find commonalities and you can always find middle ground, right? So no, I didn't then go to going around and kissing everyone in the office now in the US because that's not done here, but that's okay. But I still managed to insert some of my personality and my culture into some of the activities we would do at work. I started a Spanish speaking lunch session for those that maybe wanted to practice a little bit of Spanish, right? Because I still felt that I wanted to bring something of myself and of my culture to the company, even though I was in a different country, that maybe that wasn't the norm. And it was embraced, and it worked out really, really great. So what I would say really is look for that common ground, those commonalities, be willing to meet people halfway, right? But also don't think you have to sacrifice who you are and what you are to adapt to that new culture. And this is even a new culture, even company to company is different, right? Let alone country to country. So that's, I think, what I found again when I first came. I took it very negatively, and in hindsight, really, I should have, I've learned since then, but I should have been a little more positive and embracing the differences by seeing commonalities.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, America's a lot, okay? And like, I've been here forever and it's a lot. We did get people asking in the chat if you don't mind, or hopefully you didn't mention this earlier because goldfish brain. But where in Mexico did you come from, and where did you initially land in the US when you came here?
So I'm from northern Mexico. It's a small town about 6 hours south of the Texas border. So it's a desert, it's dry, it's like Arizona.
Okay.
So, and then I landed in Chicago. Which,
okay. Yeah.
just the weather itself was very abrupt. But what I love about Chicago, because my sister actually ended up in Boston, and I got to tell you, I really prefer Chicago in the sense of I can find any sort of food that I want to make any sort of Mexican meal, right?
Yeah.
So many people speak Spanish here, so it was kind of like a halfway, introduction into the U.S. in that respect. But yeah, I've been mostly here in the Chicago area. I actually got sent to Mexico City from the company for a couple years during my 23 years. But other than that, I've really been based here in Chicago.
Excellent. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, depending on where you land, like it could be wildly different.
Yeah.
And while I would normally say, like, oh, you should have landed in the Midwest, like we don't ever stop talking and you'll get a hot dish in 3 minutes and it'll be great. But Chicago is not like it is, but it's not. It's you get your own little microcosm kind of thing. And you're right, like that's so wonderful to know that, like, especially if you are in that kind of homesick territory, or even if you just like want to not be so not be feel like it's such an alien environment,
Yeah.
like it really does help. Like some of us bring stupid knickknacks for our desks, and some of us like bringing cookies because we wanted to bake them. But like, I love that you were able to kind of bring parts of yourself to work in a way that was really appreciated by other people and kind of help meet that need for you.
If I can chime in, I have one additional thing I just want to highlight too, because I cannot speak to immigrant experience, but as a champion for building culture within our organization, one of the things our team has done over the last year is we celebrate all of the various, if I say, national holidays. So one example I'm thinking of is Diwali recently. So we had a communication that went out, highlighting the Diwali celebration, and it was awesome to get feedback from a colleague noting that she appreciated seeing, that recognition and that celebration, from a cultural perspective. So I think all of that helps to create a true belonging culture. And I think to Elizabeth's comments, we want to make sure we're all bringing our whole selves to work. So just embracing all of that really does help to build the culture. So I just wanted to chime in just to give that example as well.
Yes, absolutely. Cannot second this enough. One thing, when I was still in an office, we did a potluck one time, which was absolutely wild, where everybody had to bring a dish that contained one ingredient. And it didn't have to be a cultural dish because a bunch of us are, American mutts, and it's Ireland and England and Scotland, and the dishes are potatoes and kind of bland. But the ingredient that we used was bananas, and you would be absolutely shocked the number of cultures that have some form of, oh yeah, we eat bananas like this, or we eat bananas like that. Like it's in something, or banana bread or whatever. And it was honestly wonderful. All right. Let's see here. Okay, we did have a couple people wanted to talk a little bit more closely about the pharmaceutical industry. So let's kind of switch gears to that a bit. Mekashia, what would you say to people who are looking to get back into the pharmaceutical industry, especially if they're coming off of a gap or they're trying to pivot in after, time in different fields?
Love that question, Megan. It's Mekashia, by the way. What I think I would encourage them to really focus in on is, what are those leverageable experiences? So whether, say, they've been, away 5 years or maybe in a different industry, there are capabilities that I'm sure that day-to-day work can be brought back into, the pharma industry. So I would really focus in on those leverageable experiences and capabilities. And then really focus in on too, okay, well, obviously there's things I bring into the table, but then identify what are those areas of interest, that they're really interested in going after. So that would be my initial thoughts there, but I'll pause and see too if Elizabeth may have anything more she wants to chime in on.
Sorry, Elizabeth, I had messed with the mute stuff, so if you should be able to unmute.
Yeah, got it to unmute now. Thank
There we go. That's what I get for trying to be fancy.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, we definitely have in the pharma industry. I've met a lot of folks that come from other organizations. What I think is important when you're looking at introducing into pharma or reintroducing into pharma is just, there's a lot of the same problems that we go through, a lot of the same challenges that we encounter, that your experience can really enhance, the company that you're joining. So I think it's really important that you really think through what are those commonalities or common themes that you can bring to the table, challenges that you've encountered that you think you can bring. Production is production in a lot of cases, right? Planning is planning, right? Sales is sales. It's just a different product. So definitely I would say, don't shy away from doing it. And yeah, bring what's unique for you into pharma to make pharma better.
I love that. Mekashia, how do you feel about this?
Oh, I 100% agree. So I think to Elizabeth's comments and my earlier comments, it's all about the leverageable experiences. What are you bringing that will help, you advance and come into pharma? So yeah, I would say focus on the common themes as well. But the opportunities are endless because from function to function, as she noted, it's all the same.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We have a ton more questions, and we only have about 20 minutes left in today's session. So if y'all have questions, and you are here right now, please send them in. I want to make sure that we prioritize y'all, that y'all like get value from today's event. So if you've got questions, send them in. We've got some more that we're going to keep working through. But one question, it was early on, and I wanted to ask this, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to cover it. This person wants to know if there are any areas in oncology that AbbVie has focused on to provide innovative solutions through the COVID-19 pandemic. Does anything come to your mind initially, Mekashia?
Love that question. So from an innovation standpoint, that is the heartbeat of AbbVie. So we're always focused on innovations and looking at our pipeline. I guess given the question being centered around and focused on COVID-19, I would say our primary focus is more so in what we call the hematological cancer area. So that's more of the blood cancers. So that's a lot of what our pipeline and our products are helping, patients and supporting patients in terms of, treating their care. But nothing specific related to COVID-19. So I hope that helps to give a little bit of insight, but I'll pause there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking that question. There's sometimes where I'm like, mid-question thinking, I think I'm a fairly smart person. And then I'll be mid-question and realize, oh, no, you don't know what you're asking. Let's listen very carefully to the answer. So thank you very, very much for that.
No problem.
All right, Elizabeth, I want to go to you first on this next question. A lot of people had questions regarding seasoned professionals in the workforce. Now, I don't care what thesaurus you're consulting to get different options for this, whether you decide older, more experienced, whatever. Let's talk about what some of those challenges have been like for you. Have you experienced this, or have you seen this in places that you've worked?
You know, I'm happy to say that I haven't seen that personally. I've been able to do, I've been working here for 20, almost 24 years, and I think I've had about 11 or 12 different roles. I've been able to move, within different organizations. What's really nice about AbbVie, especially when you're sitting here in Chicago, is there's just a lot of different opportunities, where there's a lot of different areas. And I think what has helped is as well having good sponsors and mentors that can speak on your behalf and help you grow as you go through the company. So I would say I don't know that I've felt that, and I do know that when we do a lot of interviews as such, I'm looking for experience, right? I'm not looking for specific experience. I'm not looking for the age or anything. So I really think we do a good job here at AbbVie of making sure that we're very good as far as got diverse play of candidates, no matter what the age, what the race, what the background, and anything, and really looking just matching up to experience. Yeah, so sorry I don't have an example of where that has happened to me, because
Yes, we're so disappointed that you've never experienced it, because why would we want to hear from you otherwise? No, I think that's wonderful. I love hearing this. That's like, nope, no personal experience, because heck yes, there's enough people that have that experience that we really wish hadn't.
Yeah.
Mekashia, how do you feel about this? Have you seen any issues becoming more prevalent as you like age on through the market? Like I've noticed that, like, I'm not really great at staying up to date on things that are not like right in front of me. I don't tend to seek these things out anymore the way I might have like 10 years ago. So have you experienced anything like this, or have you seen coworkers struggle with this?
So, as I chuckle, I think my response is a little bit similar to Elizabeth, where firsthand I haven't experienced it. But I am aware, again, that depending upon, how do I say it, everyone's seasons, it can happen. But what I would say is, again, you just focus on what are the areas of interest, what are those opportunities, again, continuing to build upon the leverageable experiences to really create, those opportunities. But I'll pause there.
No, I mean, I think this is all great, great answers, and we very much enjoy with not, having people on that do not have to speak from those experiences. I think that it's also something that's like really common and that I hear a lot in these in events like this, is when people are trying to either face the job market, or make some sort of pivot, or try and get kind of like leveled up at work. There's a lot of times where they feel like they come up kind of against these things when it comes to like staying updated, or when it comes to like maybe being seen in a new light after you've had a specific kind of brand or rep at work for a while. If anybody here has experienced this, please feel free to let us know. I'd be really curious to see what your experience has been like. Or if you have experience here, please feel free to weigh in. We would love to hear from y'all. Okay, next question. I want to go to Mekashia first. Do you have any advice on breaking into a new industry? If people are pivoting in from something completely unrelated, do you think that there are any like specific advice that they should follow, or transferable skills that would be the most helpful within pharmaceuticals?
Love that question. I think my response is going to apply across industries. So I like to view it as, if you're coming in new, you want to make sure you're positioning yourself as that ultimate partner or ultimate teammate, however you best describe it within the organization. But what I always say is, as you're coming in new to a team, focus on making sure you're building and then also maintaining those win-win partnerships. So from that perspective, again, that helps to build your credibility coming in. It also helps to strengthen, your partnership between your teammates and say the cross-functional teams you're working with. And it really delivers value back to the organization because, again, everybody's getting work done and we're delivering results. So, more succinctly, I'll bring it home to say just really focusing on being that ultimate partner, ultimate teammate, and just build those win-win partnerships. That's what I would say.
And find yourself a buddy, right? I think that also helps as well. Find someone that maybe either has recently transitioned, just like you have, or maybe it's just someone you really connect to that can tell you the ins and outs. Because whether you're transitioning industries or even you're just transitioning companies in general, because you can come from another pharma into AbbVie, and it's just, we said it's the ways we work, right? That you need to learn and you need to understand and you need to catch up on. So having a buddy, someone that maybe is your peer, someone that can really help you with, the stupid questions that you call them, right? Of saying, yeah, I really don't want to ask my boss this because it's really going to come across like I really don't know what I'm doing and I want a good first impression. Just really try to find someone like that you can connect to and can ask those questions.
That person's also known as a mentor, y'all. Like that's basically what she's describing. It doesn't even have to be that formal. Like I seriously have friends that are in adjacent industries or in adjacent, this role entirely is bizarre, but people that I go to when I want to say like, is this a dumb question? I hope it's not, but if it is, please help me be less dumb. And then, yeah, I'm not having to ask my boss. I'm not, whatever. But I think it's really important that we kind of get comfortable with this idea and also understand that like that level of like learning from somebody and that like it's like mentorship light kind of thing because it doesn't have to be all like weird and formal. It can just be like, hey, I ask you for advice sometimes. And I think that's a really, really good advice. Not just getting a buddy is not just important if you are pivoting into a new industry. It's especially important if you are stepping into a space that maybe does not look like you. If you are the first or the only or one of the few, that can be really uncomfortable. And getting a buddy is a very good way to kind of capitalize on someone else's, perceived status or, area of influence. Personally, I always recommend buddying up to the basic white guy. Not gonna lie, it's tactical, it works. But also like make those connections with, with people that are on your level or people that you're like, you seem to have your stuff together. Share your wisdom, please. Like, plus you're going to teach them stuff too. This is a two-way street, right? Networking is not just I learn things from you and then I run away. Like it's a relationship that you want to cultivate truly. Okay. We talked about industry transitions. We talked a little bit about saying no to opportunities. When you Elizabeth, you went into depth about this a little bit earlier. Is there anything else in that topic that you want to talk about? Things to consider if you're deciding if you should decline an opportunity, how to do that gracefully. Is there anything else you want to cover in there?
No, I think we kind of covered, look at it from the business perspective, personal perspective, career, how does it or not contribute into your career journey that you want to have, right? Being upfront about and honest about, what your thought process is, I think is important. But yeah, I think we maybe covered it in that.
Excellent. All right. Let's go into the area of kind of recent graduate development. All right. So if you are a recent grad, you're a fresher, you're, fresh into the workforce. What would you recommend these recent grads kind of develop in the way of professional skills to really position themselves for career growth? So even if you are like at the cusp of graduating or you're just kind of getting your feet wet, what do you think are some of the more important professional skills to focus on early on? So I don't know about you, but it felt really like once I got my first big kid job, I was like, oh, I don't know anything. This is fun. So you chuckle, but come on, we all felt like this. Elizabeth,
Yeah.
What was it like for you?
I think that for me, the big one was around communication and like even being able to speak well up, down, and sideways, right? Early on in my career, I did some supervisor roles, right, where I had to supervise operators, and then later on I had to translate, and maybe talk to VPs, and just that transition of both being technical to tactical and strategic, and being able to have key messages translated in all directions, I think is very important, because at the end of the day, it's how you're representing yourself in front of people, whether it's via email, via speech, you know, and so that I think is a big skill set that that I think needs to be focused on. If you're uncomfortable speaking in a big group, try to find ways. Maybe if you start with small groups at a lunch table, and then you maybe then go expand it, and eventually you're in a conference room and speaking more, because you should be heard. And I know that, you know, maybe you're not as comfortable with being heard or with speaking up, but at the end of the day, you should be heard, right? So try to develop that in you know, early on, and be very comfortable with, again, speaking in kind of all directions of the organization.
Yeah,
that's a big skill.
Yeah, I mean, communication, honestly, communication skills are going to get you, oh my gosh, so far. But you know, I think this is excellent advice. Mekashia, how do you feel about this?
Honestly, my feedback is similar. I hope everyone can hear me okay. But, you know, building upon my earlier comments of being like that ultimate partner and ultimate teammate, maybe said a little differently from how Elizabeth positioned it, but it's truly building comfortability as well as strength of collaboration. Collaboration kind of hits you out the park there, especially as you're engaging across teams, engaging up and down the organization. So really getting comfortable and again, building that confidence to be a leader and just, you know, basically demonstrate and display collaboration across the board really helps to build your reputation as well as credibility as that ultimate partner. So just thought I would hit that point home again.
Yeah, definitely collaboration I think is really big, because even when you're trying, you know, as you move up and all that, a lot of what you're trying to do sometimes is get parties to gain consensus, right? Make decisions, you know, gain alignment. So I like that, Mekashia. Definitely collaboration is absolutely a big one to develop in the beginning.
Agreed. And keep developing it, because it never ends. You learn something new every day, so you keep going.
Well, and never mind the fact that, like, y'all, as we're asking this, we're asking about professional skills, and these two very accomplished women are talking first and foremost about communication and collaboration. What are those? Soft skills. Hi, completely valuable. Don't call them soft skills in a pejorative manner, because they truly, like, they're soft because they squeeze into literally everything. Okay, they affect every aspect. And if you can get good at those things, that is a really good bridge for, okay, I'm still getting my feet wet in this new industry. I'm still getting my feet wet in this new position, because you at least have that you can kind of, you know, rely on. Communication, especially, y'all, if you think you struggle with communication, and please take it from me, I talk all of the stinking time, okay? You don't need to know how to say it in the best possible way. You don't need to be able to, like, say it eloquently or pretty or consistently or concisely at all. Focus first on what you need to be communicating back and forth, and then the polished stuff comes later, okay? Comes after you've figured out a way to say, like, I mean, honestly, it's just as easy as, hey, I think that there's these things you need to know about this project, and we should probably trade information. Let's do that. Seriously, call out the awkward. It's a lot easier. No one expects you to be the great orator. You don't have to have, like, turns of phrase to be able to communicate well with other people around you. Like, truly all. Okay. Let's see. The only thing I think we didn't cover was networking for introverts, but I think we did talk a lot about networking and instances like that. We only have about 7 minutes left in today's event, and I wanted to make sure that we saved a little bit of time to talk some more specifically about, like, the culture at AbbVie. So to get us started, one of my favorite things to ask is, what is it about the company that you don't think you're going to find anyplace else? You know, what is it that makes you stay? We've had people answer everything from the people to their bomb parking lot in their parking space, or Taco Tuesdays in the lunchroom, or I think a couple of people have said, like, ERG. So whatever it is, what is that thing that keeps you at AbbVie? You're like, I'm not going to find this anywhere else. This is why I am here. Mekashia, how about you?
Sure thing, Meg. So first word that pops top of mind is just, it's rewarding. And I use that word because, yes, it's what boomeranged me back to AbbVie, but it's also what's kept me in, you know, the healthcare industry for over 20 years. And it's rewarding from the aspects of working with amazing people working on amazing innovations, but most importantly, all the work we do is to help improve patient lives, bottom line. So think about that impact. I mean, I don't even have words for it, as you can see. But really, for me, it comes down to that, for sure.
Yeah. No, I recognize that feeling. I feel the same about, the stuff I get to do for PowerToFly when I get to like wax poetic on like, the resources we offer or whatever. Like it's that internal satisfaction of knowing that I'm helping with something like that
Right.
feels bigger than me. And yeah, I'm a cog in the machine and I just sit here and talk silly stuff, but like it makes me feel like I'm doing something. Elizabeth, how about you? What's the thing
Yeah,
that keeps you at AbbVie?
I would say kind of building with Mekashia, because I would say that's really what keeps me here as well, what brought me here to begin with and what's keeping me here. And I think just when you talk about culture, you feel that whole thing of patient is our priority, is our number one, it's our guiding star. All our decisions are made to the benefit of, like, what's the best decision for the patient? Like when you have meetings, that's the conversation that you have. It's okay, wait a minute, guys. Yeah, maybe there's going to be a little bit of more effort over here, but is that ultimately going to make the patient's life better? Is it going to get their product there faster? Right? Are we going to be able to launch this product in 2 days instead of 5? And that means that oncology patients are going to get that, 3 days earlier. Then that's what we should do. And we should just put in the extra effort. That is what keeps me in this company, right? Of knowing that at the end of the day, we all know what our North Star is, which is those patients, and that's how we make our decisions, is around.
I like that. Very, very good answers from both of you. Thank you. All right. Now, I'm going to throw up some more stuff. I see my buddy Ria is throwing up more information in the chat about AbbVie, links to their company page. I'll tell you all about that a little bit more in a minute, and kind of some of the ways you can utilize this page to help you in your interview or job search. But the last thing I want to ask each of you, do you have any tips for anyone who's applying? And do you think that this tip is AbbVie specific, or do you think it's applicable no matter where the person is applying? Elizabeth, you're nodding, so I'm going to go to you first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think as far as tips, when I interview people, one of the basics that I know is very basic, and everyone's like, well, that's obvious, is know about the company that you're interviewing for. You don't know how many people I interview for, and they're like, oh yeah, you do what, like pharma stuff or something, right? I'm like, okay, if you didn't even bother taking the interest of, doing a little Wikipedia research here, or talking to someone about the company, that's a problem. But that's basic. I think, especially as we're talking about, moving from other industries and moving from other companies, what I look for as well in the interviews is, what are those transferable skills? Like you said, Mekashia and I both talked about soft skills. We didn't necessarily talk as much about technical skills, and not that those aren't important, but you can teach a lot of the technical. It's sometimes a lot harder to teach the soft one. So really show me your soft skills, right? Show me how you know how to communicate, how you know how to collaborate, how you ran into an issue and you were able to work through it and get to an outcome, or maybe you worked through something that went poorly for you and what you learned from it. So really, I would say, is make sure that in those interviews, you're showing and demonstrating how you're applying those soft skills, because those will be transferable to whatever role you're going into.
Yeah, show them in action. I like that.
Yeah.
Mekashia, how about you? What's your top tip?
Yeah, so my top tip is typical interview, right? It starts, well, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your interest in the role. What I found to be like that golden nugget is embrace your answering that question with nailing your elevator pitch. Have it solid, keep it sharp, keep it sweet, but more importantly, truly embrace self-advocacy. This is your opportunity. Do it right up front. Don't wait to the end. Don't wait for the rest of the questions to come. Hit it up front. So I think that if you get that nailed down, that really actually starts out, as we all know, how many seconds you have to really impress someone. That nails it from the very beginning, and then you're just continuing to build as you're continuing the conversation. So definitely nail that elevator pitch up front with those initial questions.
Yes, absolutely. All right. I do want to highlight y'all. I'm going to share the screen here again. We are obviously AbbVie is hiring. We've got roles posted, so I want to encourage y'all to check that out. Ria shared the link, but here's what it looks like, so you have a quick glance. The one thing that I want to highlight here, I talked about the follow network earlier. I feel like I kind of hit that a lot, but one thing I want to highlight, if you think that you might be looking at an interview with AbbVie or anything coming up, and you want to do some of that due diligence, don't do like me. I literally showed up to a job interview thinking the company did packing materials and they were audiobook and like media company. Truly. And I still got the job, which is probably not a great sign, but whatever, neither here nor there. So if you think you might be going into an interview or something and you want something to talk about, and want to have something to kind of spark interest, check out the company page. Okay. The overview tab is going to give you kind of some highlights. It'll also tell you about information about the company culture is usually there. Sometimes there's benefits info, that kind of thing. The events tab will show you past events that they've participated on like this. So, stuff like this, also things like Meet the Recruiter videos, blog posts, all kinds of stuff like that. And then that's also what you can find under About as well. So if you think you might go into an interview, I recommend you check out the company page, because that way you'll have something to talk about that is not the latest Business Insider article that everyone's forwarding on LinkedIn. So kind of set you apart a little bit, and just, a nice, easy, central kind of place to go get some information, and, go into that interview feeling prepared. So really encourage you to take a look at that. Don't forget, if you are interested at all in AbbVie, tap that follow button right there, super important. And if you want to know why, you can join earlier on another event or just watch any one of the recordings. My shtick in the beginning is always the same. Now, this has brought us to the end of time today, but before we go, Mekashia and Elizabeth, thank you both so much. It's been really awesome to get to learn from you both today. It's obvious that there was a ton of work put in on the back end of this as well. So thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing your expertise. It was wonderful.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, that is going to end it for us today. For our audience members, thank you all so much for attending. Obviously, I have a job because you attend events like this, but more importantly than that, I want y'all to be proud of yourselves, because you just took an hour out of your day to do something positive for yourself and your career. Okay. That is not an easy thing. It should be rewarded. Even if you're not a little treat person, just, take it from me, give yourself a cookie, star on the, a gold star, pat on the back, whatever it is. And go out and have a safe, happy, healthy rest of your day, week, and weekend. We are going to be back next week with more great programming. Cannot wait to see you. If this was your first event, I sincerely hope it will not be your last. And if you are one of our frequent flyers, I cannot wait to see you again soon on an upcoming event. Now, go out, y'all. Have the day you deserve to have. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.